long-running conversation.
Not limiting
It's over and over again.
Antitrust wrong.
Jeff Bezos has an ace up his sleeve, and he's finally using it. It's a plan that he's been designing for years, tying up loose ends. The plan is this network, a network that's become the backbone of Jeff's mission, a mission to spread himself like a plague through the rest of the world. It starts up here in this suburban neighborhood in Washington, where inside this garage there's books from authors all around the world and 2 desks made from bedroom doors. From here, those books are packaged and shipped all over the world, where they are read end to end through a cup of coffee and a comfy recliner. Oh, and it wasn't just books and makeshift desks in this garage. There was this bell that rang every minute for weeks, a bell that signified the start of something amazing. It continuously rang with every purchase, and as books grew legs, walking themselves off the shelves, Jeff began his journey. What I want to do is get you caught up on what is happening and how this company has evolved into an insatiate powerhouse. We call it insatiate because you've got this unstoppable hunger for industrial and economic power. Hunger over grocery stores, pharmaceutical companies, small businesses, media entertainment, and brick and mortar style retail. You've also got this incessant need for cheap labor to feed the beast as it grows. This war between Amazon and the rest of the world is about disruption. It's about a company that is revolutionizing the way that we consume and what life will look like for us in 20 years. So I'd like to take you on a 9-part journey following this path, this network, and uncover the most substantial takeover of our lifetime. Okay, all right, real quick. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for supporting me with this channel. Creating content has really been my outlet for the struggles of life, and I'm really grateful to have you all here with me on this journey. You can tell I'm terrible at these kind of things. Also, this video is part of a 9-part series that I'll be creating on Amazon's takeover. Who knows, there maybe more as time goes on, because I'm sure Amazon's not going to stop, where it's at right now. So if you're interested in Amazon's takeover and you want to stay up to date and just have some fun with me, subscribe, share the video, and thank you guys. Okay, so the most important thing to note here is that these aren't your normal acquisitions between 2 companies in the same industry. A normal acquisition may look something like this. A company reaches what's called the mature phase, and this is where they've basically hit their cap, like they're not going to grow anymore. So that company, we'll call it Company A, would buy Company B for the lowest price possible in exchange for its clients and its assets, ultimately creating a larger company. This is an extremely watered down scenario, and there's way more to it, but Amazon's acquisitions are different. Their sole purpose isn't singular. They're part of a strategic battle in a war with all major companies in every industry, not just one. So let's start with the most colluded and deceptive of them all and make sense of why Amazon is going after the pharmaceutical industry. Of course, this video is about Amazon's takeover, and we'll get to that. But I want to show you what this industry was like before Amazon, and I want to explain it in a way that's easier for you to understand, so the end of this video makes sense. So today, if your doctor sends your prescription over to the pharmacy, it's a pretty simple process. You walk in, give them your name and your birthday, your insurance is usually on file, you pay your copay if you have one, and voila, you're out of there, right? Well, it wasn't always this easy. In the 1900s, prescription users faced a problem where customers were emptying their wallets at the prescription counter for the medications that they needed to survive. If they couldn't afford to pay full price, they'd have to choose which medication to forego until their next paycheck. And unless they saved every receipt and mailed it to the insurance company, there'd be no chance of getting a portion of their money back through rebates. So a few issues with this. One, patients weren't getting the care that they needed. Pharmacies were losing out on a ton of revenue, and Bob at the insurance company was neck deep in receipts, essentially bottlenecking the reimbursement process. Now, obviously, people needed a change in the way that this process was handled, a way to make the process easier and more affordable by allowing patients to pay only their copay when they filled their prescriptions. A change that would effectively diminish the issues with mailing receipts to Bob, patients' adherence to medications, and pharmacy sales. Now, that change came with the dawn of PBMs, or pharmacy benefit managers, in 1968. PBMs are basically middlemen who negotiate drug prices between your insurance company and the manufacturer. I'll explain how they tie into Amazon in a second, but fast forward to the late 1980s, and with the evolution of computer technology, a group of PBM software engineers were hired to integrate insurance formularies into the computer of your local pharmacy. Now, formularies are just a list of approved drugs in your insurance plan. Now, instead of paying up front and sending your receipts in a box to the insurance company, the pharmacist enters your information, you pay your copay, and the insurance company now has a record of the transaction electronically. I'm sure for most of you today, this is how the process goes. You're welcome, Bob. Sure, they helped millions of Americans with access to prescriptions, but it wasn't because they wanted to help. PBMs saw an opportunity to leverage their position as middlemen between insurance companies, drug manufacturers, patients, and pharmacies. They became methodically knowledgeable with drug formularies, so much in fact that they called up the insurance companies saying, hey, we know your formularies, we can build better ones, and we'll charge you less than what it costs you to do it in-house. So naturally, insurance companies were like, sounds great, let's do it. Now, again, remember, a formulary is just a list of approved drugs made up of 3 tiers. Tier 1 requires the lowest copay, Tier 3 requires the most. This doesn't sound like something we want though, right? Like, it isn't a huge conflict of interest, PBMs building formularies for the same companies they're negotiating prices for. Why would they want to do that anyway? Well, PBM's control over insurance formularies meant control over which medications patients received and how much their copay would be. This was their weapon, and with this weapon, they contacted the drug manufacturers directly and basically told them this: since we control the formularies, we control your sales because we control copays. What if we could guarantee an increase in your drug sales by moving your drugs into Tier 1? The only thing we as PBMs ask in return is that you give us a rebate, money back, for every sale. And again, like the insurance companies, the manufacturers said, sounds great, let's do it. So basically, you've got manufacturer A who sells their drug for $200, let's say. The PBM works out a $100 rebate, pockets $20, and gives the rest to the insurance company. The PBM then moves their drug up on the formulary, which increases the manufacturer's sales. But then comes manufacturer B, who makes a drug that does the exact same thing as manufacturer A. However, they sell theirs for $400, working out a $200 rebate. The PBM pockets $40 and moves manufacturer B to the top of the list, replacing A. What this did was incentivize all drug manufacturers to pay higher rebates as a way to push their drugs to the top of the list, where patients flocked looking for lower copays and affordable medications. A portion of those rebates were pocketed by the PBM and the rest sent to the insurance company to aid in decreasing costs for consumers, or so they say. There's actually an active investigation from the United States government right now into where this money goes. If you're interested in reading about it, I'll leave a link in the description below. But the problem is, this hasn't stopped. Manufacturers have spent years fighting each other to provide higher rebates to PBMs by increasing drug prices. In a recent study, prices on 500 drugs that launched between 2008 and 2001 have increased $2,000 per year to $180,000 per year. This increase led to patients outright declining the medications that they needed to survive. We call this inadherence, which accounts for half of all medical treatment failures and 1/4 of all hospital and nursing home admissions. All right, I won't go down this rabbit hole because there's tons of information out there and this video would be like 3 hours long, but we need to get to the real topic here. The topic of Amazon's strategic power moves to take control of the pharmaceutical industry. One thing to note here is that Jeff built this company around its customers, which is the primary reason why Amazon controls 50% of the e-commerce market. I'm sure you've heard of the old saying, the customer is always right. Amazon has basically perfected that saying. Okay, we can debate debate about that in the comments, but the fact is that 300 million customers, equivalent to the entire United States population, trust Amazon enough to continue delivering their needs. Every day, packages are stolen or never show up, and Amazon's like, no problem, customer who you've never met, we'll send you another one. I mean, this article shows 210 million stolen packages in America, most of them valued between $50 or $200, and Amazon accounted for 53% of those packages. My point here is that Amazon is losing millions of dollars a year, putting its customers first and resending stolen items. This widespread trust that Amazon would always go above and beyond and do right by its customers gave Jeff the fuel that he needed to make his next move. The move that would cause a $15 billion loss in pharmaceutical market share overnight. It's important to note that CVS and Walgreens control 50% of the prescription drug sales in the US, relying on customers being physically present to pick up their meds. So when the public found out that Amazon was acquiring a company that pre-packages medications and sends them to your front door, investors were like, okay, Jeff, this is smart. I see what you're doing here. That day, multiple pharmacy stocks immediately lost 10% of their value. Wall Street was freaking out because the anticipation of Amazon moving into the pharmaceutical industry finally became real. He was sending a message, I'm coming for you. And Amazon skipped all the hard work because PillPack had already required licenses to sell pharmaceuticals in all 50 states. Why build a business from the ground up and go through all the regulatory crap when you can just buy one? It's worth mentioning that originally it was Walmart seeking an agreement to buy PillPack, but it was ultimately outbid by Amazon. All right, I know some of you are saying it's 2023, CVS and other pharmacies already do this, and it's true, but Amazon's acquisition of PillPack was only the beginning, a stepping stone, if you will. Patients using PillPack were likely to need different kinds of care down the road and would subsequently increase revenue for Amazon long term should it decide to venture into different parts of the healthcare industry. This stepping stone was used as a way to build easy relationships with new customers by utilizing its already proven track record of putting the customer first. But wait, what about the patients who prefer the pharmacy or have questions for their pharmacist about their medications? Do they like waiting in long lines? Who would wait in that line? Clearly, there are still needs that need to be met at the physical pharmacy. Analysts agree that Amazon would have to do better than prescription deliveries to steal patients away from companies like CVS and Walgreens. So in 2022, they entered into an agreement to acquire another company. This time, a primary care company with locations all around the United States. This is where you go to get x-rays or an evaluation when you're sick and when you need a one-on-one with your doctor. This agreement with One Medical would narrow the gap, allowing customers the easeability of getting an evaluation and the treatment they need, while also stealing market share from its competitors and hopefully adding some transparency to the pharmaceutical industry. Amazon also recently launched Amazon Clinic, which allows patients to choose and message medical professionals who can assign a treatment plan and then send their medications directly to their home. This is what we call a direct-to-customer model, which bypasses the need for patients to go to the doctor's office for smaller problems like, let's say, acne or allergy. Now, I'm not downplaying your acne or allergies, I'm just saying you're not dying. All of these put Amazon in a position to disrupt pharmacy benefit managers, health insurance agencies, traditional pharmacies, and the rest of the healthcare industry as we know it. And yes, CVS and Walmart are setting up their own primary care facilities around the US too. Okay, but let's not forget the point of this video. Jeff's goal here isn't to reinvent the wheel, and it's not about how much he's going to change the pharmaceutical industry yet. It's about how Amazon has been working in the background for almost 30 years, building this foundation of trust among its customers in order to inject itself into the healthcare industry. Now, to be clear, I'm not advocating for Amazon. I'm not saying that Amazon is doing anything better than CVS, Humana, Express Scripts, or any of the largest PBMs out there stealing money from consumers. If there's any takeaway from this video, it's this question. Is Amazon taking advantage of decades of trust built by customers to control everything, or is Amazon truly targeting the bad players in the pharmaceutical industry, stealing their market share while furthering its mission to put customers first and make their lives easier?